Cleveland Browns have won 4 out of their last
Of
5
all of
games.
my bobbleheads are officially throwback. This one's for you.
This is a big one for me.
Ladies and gentlemen, football is officially back. We can now fill our weekends with Buckeyes football before every single Browns game. But this week's going to be a little bit different. We've got the Browns Bengals on Thursday, but we got to start with this news. The Big Ten is coming back. Ohio State is going to play this season, going to make a run at the national championship. News coming out today. We'll probably hear about the schedule later on this week, but some of the points that have been hinted at by Barry Alvarez, it's probably going to be a 8-game schedule, likely 6 in division, 2 more cross division. The season is going to start October 23rd and 24th. That's a Friday, Saturday, so maybe some overlap with high school football. We'll see. But the season's kicking off. Drew, what do you think? What does the Big Ten need to do with the scheduling of this season and make sure that it is just as good as any of the other seasons?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's sort of out the window with no fans being in attendance. But, I do applaud them for finally listening to reason and getting this thing right. There's no reason to be terrified. If high school kids are playing football in almost all of the states that make up the Big Ten, if the NFL is playing. You give kids the ability to opt out if they don't feel safe. But yeah, we should be playing. Almost all the other Power 5 conferences are playing, and so there was no excuse, in my opinion, to opt out of the whole season. So I'm glad they got it right. It's ridiculous to consider a spring season. That's outrageous. So I'm really happy that there will be a real season in the Big Ten. And yeah, I mean, it's going to be harder to compete for a playoff berth. I think you're going to have to run the table, but it's at least a possibility now. There's at least some possibility of postseason play. I'm really looking forward to the schedule. I can't really go into too much detail there. I have my eyes on Ohio State at Penn State for a potential playoff berth. I think the rest of the schedule shapes up really well, at least in the division, and it's obviously going to depend a lot on who those two teams draw from the West to see where this thing goes and how it plays out.
Yeah, Eric, there might be something non-traditional with Ohio State versus Michigan. I think that's what we're really interested in. There will be other matchups against, like Drew said, Penn State, maybe Wisconsin. But do you keep Michigan over Thanksgiving weekend, or do you try and push them until the end of the season?
I mean, for traditional sake, I would put them at the end of the season. Unfortunately, it's not Thanksgiving weekend, but that's just kind of how the season shakes out. Ohio State's going to have 3 tough games, maybe 2.5. I mean, Michigan State's kind of on the decline. They turned over D'Antonio with former coach from the Browns and Ohio State, Mel Tucker, is now their head coach. So he's bringing in a whole new system. But obviously Penn State's the most challenging one. And then we got Michigan. I'm never going to take them lightly. I still get the 90s out of my head, even though ever since Jim Tressel's been there, they've been great against that team up north. But yeah, I mean, on the West, you got Wisconsin. I feel like Minnesota's always in it and then finds a way to lose to Wisconsin no matter what. So Iowa's pretty good, but I feel like the road to the Big Ten championship runs through Wisconsin, and I really like obviously the talent they got, and I know the left tackle, I can't think of his name right now, opted back in today. I'm not sure if Sean Wade did. Obviously, it's only one player, but it's a very good player. So, I mean, I think the guys should be ready to go. Justin Fields seems amped up if you've seen his videos. It's going to be a challenge, like Drew said. Yeah, you got to run the table. You're only playing 8 games. You lose one, you're done. I think they're going to I'm not sure what Notre Dame's record is going to be, but it's either Notre Dame or the second best team in the SEC would get that 4th spot. So you just got to keep all your ducks in a row. I'm hoping Wisconsin 8-0 and Ohio State's 8-0, and they play in the Big Ten championship, and Ohio State takes it home to get that opportunity to play in the playoff.
Notre Dame playing in the ACC this year.
Right.
They joined a conference real quick when it benefited them.
Right, of course, yes.
It's all positive vibes in the Big Ten and Ohio, especially for us. But it was not positive vibes this past weekend. We got to still touch on that horrible loss to the Ravens. I know we're looking forward. We're trying to bring the positive, but I don't know. Let's look at the positive. Eric, we'll go to you. If you could bring just one positive thing from this horrible loss to the Ravens this past weekend, what was there a positive? Was there anything that we can hang our hat on this past weekend?
Well, on the offensive side of the ball, no, I'm just kidding. It's only one thing. I was just no, but seriously. But seriously, the offensive line, they weren't spectacular, but they were good enough, and they were good against a very stout defensive team. They allowed 2 sacks throughout the games, and this is going against a team that was I forget the score at the halftime, but at the midway through the third quarter, it was 31-6, and they were just bringing guys off the edge left and right every single play. So to only allow 2 sacks throughout the game and, not a lot of pressures is pretty admirable by the offensive line. You also take a look that Jedrick Wills got replaced by Kendall Lamb later in the game. Pretty cold coming off the bench, really hasn't done anything, and he kind of held his own. Hopefully Jedrick Wills is questionable, but he's likely going to play. Same with Conklin, who also was replaced by Chris Hubbard, I believe, and
I think he was hurt.
Okay, well, some other guy,
whoever.
But he's likely going to be able to play. But I have confidence that their offensive line is able to hold up in pass protection. More importantly, they allowed Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt to get 132 yards on 23 carries for almost 6 yards, 5.7 to be exact, yards per carry. Obviously, you like those numbers of carries to be greater in future games. However you want to spin this, if it's forcing the ball to Odell Beckham or just being down way too much, they deviated away from the run game. But I have a good faith and good confidence. You just look at that first play, handoff left side to Nick Chubb for 11 or 12 yards. This offensive line can get it done. You also take a look at looking forward to next week, or tomorrow, Geno Atkins is out. I really think they got to be smart and utilize their strengths. This offensive line may not be the best in the league, but I think it's up there. They can protect Baker Mayfield. They can give running lanes to the running backs, and they are light years ahead of where they were last year. So there's a lot of weaknesses, but at least we can say that's one strength the Browns had last Sunday.
Yeah, another positive on the offensive line was Jedrick Wills getting a negative x-ray on his shin. Mm-hmm. Hopefully he'll be back. We'll see if he can make that quick turnaround time. A lot of nagging injuries on the line. Like you guys mentioned, Conklin, Hubbard, Treader, all showing up on the injury report. But there's a chance that they'll all show up against the Bengals. Drew, what was the one thing that the Browns could hang their hat on against the Ravens?
Yeah, so I wrote down a couple things as it relates to the Browns' running game. I think Eric sort of touched on them. 13 carries, 72 yards for Nick Chubb. 10 carries, 60 yards for Nick Chubb. 13 carries, 72 yards for Kareem Hunt. I thought that was great. I'm going to go the other side. So here's a really crazy fact that I saw on the Twitter sphere. Larry Ogunjobi was PFF's number 1 ranked player. Offense, defense, number 1 ranked NFL player, Larry Ogunjobi. He absolutely made a living in the Ravens' backfield. I think the Ravens are missing Marshall Yanda way more than I thought they might. It's a guard. I figured how hard is it to replace a guard? You saw in that game how hard it is to replace a Hall of Fame caliber player no matter where he plays. Mark Ingram, 10 carries, 29 yards. J.K. Dobbins, 7 carries, 22 yards. That's under 3 yards a carry for those two combined. Lamar Jackson added 7 carries for 45 yards. You kept those 3 players, that 3-headed monster, to under 100 yards total rushing on a game when the Ravens won 38-6. So, the Ravens were obviously trying to run some clock in the second half. It wasn't like they were going pass happy. And so, this might be the first time I've ever seen a Cleveland Browns defense actually shut down what I consider a good to great running team. The Ravens had the number 1 ranked rushing attack in the league last year. I expect that to probably continue. This might be the only game all season that those 3 players combined to go under 100 yards. So I was very impressed with what I thought was going to be a major weakness. I thought the linebackers against the run did a very good job. B.J. Goodson, Sion Takitaki, those 2 played great games against the run. I think there was a little bit of selling out to do it, and that will maybe some foreshadowing. I might touch on that a little bit later. But if that type of run, if I can get that type of run defense, the rest of the year, that's awesome. If we can hold teams to under 100 yards rushing the rest of the season, sign me up, because you can still do a lot in this league. So I was very impressed with that. I really want to see some more of this defensive line.
Oh, Drew pulling an Eric. I asked for 1 positive. He gives me 3, but I will agree.
It was all defensive line.
I will agree on the Ogunjobi. What he was responsible for the strip in the red zone still when the game was closed. That was a huge play. I thought we were still in it. So good call out on Ogunjobi. Really like that. So Kevin Stefanski, a lot of big decisions, a lot of film study. He mentioned in the post-game conversations with the media, we got to look at the tape. So Drew, we'll go back to you here. What do you think Stefanski changed? I think we know some things that have changed with the team. But what do you think his one focus is for this week against the Bengals?
Yeah, so there's a lot that you can say offensively that needs to be tweaked. I'm actually going to go a different route here, though. Lamar Jackson attempted 25 passes for 275 yards. He was 20 for 25. That's 11 yards every time he attempted a pass. 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. I don't know how you fix it, but the middle of the field was wide open all game long. Just, we go back to week 1 of our podcast. What do we talk about? Those are the throws he can make. He can make middle of the field throws when it's wide open. And if you allow them to do that, they will do it all game long. The playbook against Lamar Jackson is your middle of the field is closed, you keep him in the pocket, and you make him throw outs. You make him throw, deep comebacks. You make him throw passes that have to be in the air for a long time because he's not accurate enough to beat you. But if you let him throw, down the middle on you, he will tear you up, and that is what he did, and that is what the Browns allowed to do. This isn't a secret, right? This is an obvious strength of his versus an obvious weakness, and if they couldn't stop that, if they couldn't scheme that, I am very scared, terrified of what Joe Woods is doing. This was a middle of the field that was just people were just multiple players just running free all game long. So I know Eric's going to touch on some of the things that they can change on the offense. There's a lot there, but I don't know that any of that matters if they cannot cover anyone middle of the field. I don't know how you fix it. There's they're at a dearth of talent there, but they have to find some way to get guys in front of people, to guard someone when they're just running routes in the middle of the field. They were wide open all day.
Eric, where do you think Stefanski's spent his time this short week?
Well, yeah, first of all, I definitely agree that the Browns have not covered a tight end since the Clinton administration. So if they could switch that up, that would be really great. Yeah, we've had many guys score touchdowns and big plays against them. So I want to button that up. But, kind of what Stefanski's got to do is really look at his mentality, look at his philosophy, and kind of be more like Kyle and less like Freddie. because he was a lot like Freddie last week, and we want him to be more like Kyle. But by that I mean you have a game plan. You work on a game plan from Sunday night all the way through the following Saturday. In this case, it's Sunday through the morning of Thursday. Utilize your team's strengths. Know what you want to do. Know how you want to attack, and stick to it. Don't abandon everything and the first sign of weakness or first sign of adversity that you're worried that you're gonna have to score 5 touchdowns in the next 3 minutes, because that's what Freddie Kitchens would do. I mean, Kyle trusted his system. I always go back to that game. I know the Titans in 2014 are nothing compared to what the Ravens were this year. But the fact they came back 20, however many points down against the Titans, Kyle stuck with the run, then hit those passes in the red zone. You don't have to make it cute. Just move the ball and get the ball in the end zone. You know how to do this. You've done this for a while. Granted, you haven't, not at a head coaching level. Stefanski needs to remember what his strengths are, what the team's strengths are, really, hone in on his running game and his passing game to his tight end. One of the best players in the league, Austin Hooper, had 2 targets last week. That's unacceptable. I hope that he can remember, OBJ's a great talent, but I think they were targeting him. They were jostling him around for one matter or purpose. But come up in other areas that the team can succeed instead of just going to one different target or one different manner. So the key is to not panic and to just stick with what the team's strengths are. And last thing I'll say is I'll take a PowerPoint presentation over a Pittsburgh started t-shirt any day of the week.
I don't know how to follow that. I do want to say they need to eliminate the under center 3-step drop quick slant play from the playbook. They cannot execute it. It gets batted down at the line every time. Put them in the pistol or the shotgun with no drop. Something has to change. They were 0 for 5 on those plays. All of them got batted down. It's not something your quarterback does well. Stop it.
If there's something, if there's something I forgot to say is Stefanski used to always say, eliminate the gray, either make it black or white. But how many times was Baker stepping and he was, looking left or right? There was a lot of gray in those plays, and what usually happened? Batted down, intercepted, overthrew his guy. Got to get rid of that.
I would say spread the ball around. I think that just the quarterback always needs to spread the ball around to all of his receivers and have more emphasis on the running game. But I think where Stefanski is probably smarter than us and the coaching staff is studying much harder than us is the weaknesses of the Bengals. They know where the Bengals are weak. I don't have the answer to how exactly the Bengals are going to be weak, but we hope that will be the answer. Does it mean spreading it around? Does it mean just running it down their throat the entire game? Does it mean utilizing the tight ends more? But they've got to have a multifaceted attack with all of the great talents on this team. Yeah, Austin Hooper, you said 2 targets? Ridiculous. Get him the ball. I guess Njoku did have a really good game, but now he's on injured reserve, but that's only for 3 weeks. So Njoku could come back after 3 weeks. It's not a season-ending injury or anything like that. So he will come back. Not too bad of news there. But yes, we have the Bengals tomorrow night or tonight. You'll probably be listening to this on Thursday. So big game tonight, a lot of fun. Thursday night game. We get to play the Bengals. It's in Cleveland, going to be about 6,000 fans there at 10% capacity of First Energy Stadium. It's going to be exciting. We'll probably hear the fans. Eric, do you think the Browns are going to bounce back? Do you think there's a little bit of a home field advantage here?
I'm not sure if you're going with my picks or not, but
not yet.
Okay, good.
We'll save the picks to the end.
Save the picks. Yeah, I mean, you heard around the news of this week of how they want 66 fans to feel like 60,000 fans. Sounds great. I think they can. I think they can be loud. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be season ticket holders, and I would hope it's the passionate season ticket holders that can yell and say, hey, we're the only people outside of Jacksonville, and I think maybe Dallas and one other stadium right now that actually has fans at their games. So why not? Even like the some of the players, like Baker was saying, he felt kind of odd. He felt off that he had no fans, even away, being the away team last week, being uncomfortable or unusual. So I'm hoping that being around some fans will help this team. Obviously, I hope better playing will help too. But I'm excited and I'm intrigued to know and see what exactly this is going to turn out to be. Obviously, you're seeing a lot of tighter windows from the cameras, so you're not actually able to see the whole stands. But I know they're all going to be in the lower bowl. They're going to be loud, and I'm hoping that assists in any way, shape, or form. Maybe it gets in Joe Burrow's head. Because he's a rookie, I don't know. We'll take anything we can get at this point. So it should be interesting, and I'm glad we are able to at least have 6,000 fans as opposed to none.
Drew, are we going to see Austin Siebert come back to strike us down in this next game?
It's crazy how conditioned we as fans are to expect the just miserable to happen to us, right? Like every single Browns fan that I follow on Twitter has sort of raised this question that, they signed Austin Siebert, he's going to make the game-winning kick against the Browns in Cleveland, right? Like everyone expects that. So like maybe because everybody expects it to happen, maybe finally this is the time that Lucy doesn't pull the ball away, and maybe this is the time that he struggles and the Browns win. I don't know. The only thing I will say what I do expect is for this pass defense to look a little better. This is a rookie coming off of a short week, and it's his second start ever. This is something that will be very telling the rest of the year, right? If they can pressure this is also not a very good Cincinnati Bengals offensive line. So I expect the Browns to be able to generate some pressure. I expect, Adrian Claiborne, Myles Garrett, Larry Ogunjobi, Sheldon Richardson, Olivier Vernon. The Cleveland Browns have a good defensive line, and I expect them to be in Joe Burrow's face all night. And if that happens, I think they can turn it into hopefully a long game for him. We need that pass defense to hold up a little better. Somebody cover somebody in the middle of the field, please. But assuming that they make any improvement on that side, I think that a pretty good to good Browns pass rush should be able to get home and rattle and bother a young rookie. So I'm hopeful for that. I'm looking forward to what I think will be a better, more spirited effort from the Browns defense, and I'm just going to cross my fingers and hope that is an aberration from what we saw from the Browns passing attack, that it is better than that. The alternative is kind of scary, so we'll just keep our fingers crossed there and hope that they bury that tape.
It's going to be a Thursday night party in Cleveland. Ohio State is back. The Browns going to beat up the Bengals. That is definitely going to happen, and I think we'll see if it impacts our picks here. Eric, let's start with you this week again. This time, since the Browns are playing on Thursday night, we'll do a Browns Thursday night special. We'll give you our lock of the week, and then we're also going to predict the Sunday night matchup. That is the Seahawks and Patriots. The Seahawks are -4 at last reading. Eric, kick us off on the picks.
Okay, well, I'm flying under the radar, but I'm going to expose myself and say that I'm 3-1, so it's a good start. We'll see how.
Thank you for
see if I go downhill
yourself.
from there or not. Yeah, expose my picks, I guess. Well, that's good. So I get an extra half a point that I don't have to lay, so I will definitely lay those 4 points for Seattle against New England. I'm hoping, there's been rumors about the air quality out there, and the game's still going to be played. I haven't heard too much other than a week ago, so I'd assume the game's still going to go on as scheduled. So New England running this Tim Tebow offense, I think Seattle should be able to shut them down. My lock of the week is I think San Francisco is going to bounce back against the Sam Darnold-led New York Jets. I don't care that it's in New Jersey. They are not a very good football team. So I'm taking the Niners. And for the Browns game, I'm going to take the over 43.5. I think Baker and the offense is going to have a bounce-back game. I expect something in the 30s for them, and the Browns defense isn't great. So I could see something in the teens for the Bengals and get just over that 43.5. And those are my picks for the week.
All right, I've got the Browns -5.5. I've got the Texans +7. I think Ravens might have a letdown. Texans did not play well, so maybe that spread is a little bit larger than it should be. And then I'm going to go Seahawks beating the Patriots. The Tim Tebow offense. Very nice, Eric. All right, Drew, who you got?
Yeah, just a big old free bag of money right here. You know, if you tuned into the podcast right away and placed those bets, you hit the under on Thursday night by 1 point. If you picked up as soon as we hit the podcast, you hit Tennessee -1.5 by 1 point. Both of those lines moved after our podcast. Just goes to show you just a free bag of money here. We really move the lines on the I Still Believe in Cleveland podcast. So make sure you get those picks in early if you're going to play these numbers. So what we're seeing as of 10 o'clock p.m. here on Wednesday the 16th is Browns -5.5. Every time that I think this team is going to win, that they're going to show up, that they're going to play well, they prove me wrong. They kick me right in the teeth, and I am walking right into it again.
All right.
But maybe this time is different, right? The most dangerous words in investing, the most dangerous words in gambling, maybe this time it's different. Give me Cleveland Browns -5.5 at home against the Cincinnati Bengals. I am terrified of it. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. But that's where I'm going, I guess. For my lock of the week, I like the Cowboys in a bounce back game. It's they're giving 4 to Atlanta. I think this Atlanta defense is very bad, and I think the Cowboys are usually very good against poor defensive teams. The players are open. Dak can hit them. They're a pretty good front running type of a team when you can get the sort of option game between Dak and Zeke going. So I like Cowboys -4 there. That's at home against Atlanta. So I like that. I actually liked Eric's 49ers pick as well, but I'm only allowed one lock. For the Sunday night game, I hesitate to bet against New England as well, but I think Seattle's the better team, right? And Seattle's a better team at home. I know that it's not going to be the same type of advantage as it normally is, but I have a lot of confidence in Russell Wilson. That's the type of player. Russell Wilson makes everybody struggle, but that mobile quarterback has given Belichick some problems in the past, more so than anything else. So I like Seattle -4. It's Browns -5.5, Cowboys -4, Seattle -4. We're going to pick up a 2-1 week here, and we're going to end up 5-1, 5-1, 5-1, five-time WCW champion. And we'll see you next week.
Free bag of money. Browns win. See you guys next week.
All right. Take care.